Have you ever picked up a call and immediately felt fear or confusion from the person who called? This is exactly what happened when I picked up the phone. The real estate investor I was talking to had just bought another property, but he wasn't excited about the purchase. In fact, he said this. He said, Ron, I've listened to dozens of podcasts. I've read the books. I've watched YouTube for months. Everyone sounds so confident, but they all tell me to do something different. So I decided to take a leap of faith, and now I'm not sure I made the right decision. One expert told him to buy rentals, another said only flip houses, another told him short term rentals were the future, and another said STRs were dead. Then he asked me a question I've never forgotten. How do I know who's right? And while that's a good question, there's a better question. Who has earned the right to be heard? Yesterday, I published an article called The Real Estate Information Trap. The central idea is simple. Information creates options. Elimination creates clarity. But that raises another question. How do you know what to eliminate? When I got into lending, my coach had plenty of ideas on how I should build my business. My manager had a whole nother set of ideas. And then there were books, webinars, and vendors who had even more ideas. And while these people had great intentions, at the end of the day, they just wanted me to be like everyone else. They wanted me to do lending their way. They wanted me to fit their vision, their gifts, their talents. But like you, I'm not interested in living someone else's vision for my life. Fortunately, I had a mentor who asked me a different question. Ron, what life are you working to build? You see, he wasn't trying to fit me into his vision. He knew me better than the rest. He knew my gifts, he knew my passions, and he wanted my work to reflect both. And then he introduced me to the world of real estate investing, the world of we buy homes for cash. Suddenly, everything clicked. I wasn't just originating mortgages anymore. I was helping investors build businesses, protect families, create freedom. I felt like I had finally found work that matched who God created me to be. And that's when I learned something that has shaped every major decision I've made since. The goal isn't to collect better advice. The goal is to develop a better filter. That conversation eventually led me to work with real estate investors, and years later led me to build Smart REI. So let's go back to my mentor's question, and let me ask you, what life are you trying to build? You see, once you know what you're trying to build, it's amazing how much advice you can simply ignore. And now, after years of working with hundreds of real estate investors, I've found myself putting every new real estate deal and lending strategy through three smart REI filters. Let's look at them. Filter one asks, who is giving this advice? You see, not every successful investor builds wealth the same way. Some flip 50 houses a year and it solves one set of problems, and someone else is owning 10 rental properties over the next 20 years, solving a different set of problems, fulfilling a different dream. You see, advice always comes from the giver's story. But before accepting their advice or their conclusion, it's essential to understand their story. Filter two, what has to be true for this advice to work? You see, some strategies only work when interest rates are low. Others depend on appreciation. Some require unlimited access to capital. Others require managing tenants every day. No strategy exists in a vacuum. Seek to understand the assumptions behind the advice. Filter 3 is the same question my mentor asked me years ago. Does the advice fit the life you're trying to build? And this is the question most investors skip. They're so busy asking, can this make me money, that they never stop to ask, will this help me build the life I actually want? Make sure the advice you accept aligns with your vision. Now, I don't think the goal is to consume less information. I think the goal is to become intentional about what deserves your attention, because information creates options. Elimination creates clarity. The smartest investors I've met aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who have built a framework for deciding what to ignore. If this video challenges the way you think, I'd encourage you to read this week's LinkedIn article, The Real Estate Information Trap, where I unpack this idea in greater depth. And until next time, the dream determines the deal. The numbers protect the dream.